Speaking of things moving fast, Ukraine could soon become the second country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. So one thing I retweeted today is that the IRS changed, like on their website. It used to say that Bitcoin is not legal tender in any jurisdiction, and now it says that it's not legal tender in the U.S. So things are changing.
Big steps.
Mhm.
Huge steps.
That will be extremely interesting if they do that, because they are relatively big country.
Yeah, the legal tender distinction is pretty significant. It doesn't quite feel that way because I guess it's not really being used too much, but like the El Salvador thing is huge, and then it just continues.
Yeah, definitely. El Salvador was something that I didn't expect to happen so quickly. I thought it would be quite some time before any country would go so hard on any cryptocurrency. So to hear Ukraine coming out with this now, this is extremely bullish news to me. That they're not only seeking it as legal tender, but they're also looking to mine as well, just like El Salvador did with green mining. Ukraine is talking about doing nuclear power-based mining, which is effectively one of the more green types of power that we have. And for those who are unfamiliar with the way that nuclear power kind of works, is that when you build a facility, you have a tremendous amount of power at that facility that is basically unutilized for a very long time. You can't just scale up a nuclear facility. You have to kind of build the whole entire thing. So they have probably, and you're building this station to power for decades, right? So they have a tremendous amount of excess energy with these stations that could be going to something. It could be, and they're looking to take that and turn it into money for their country by mining Bitcoin, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure they'll do very well with that.
By the way,
yeah, it's brilliant.
Regarding nuclear power and Ukraine, Ukraine used to be the used to have the third biggest nuclear arsenal in the world, because they inherited 3,000 nuclear weapons when they became independent from the Soviet Union. And right now they are also looking at again at nuclear weapons, because when they gave up all their nuclear weapons, basically for the promise of the protection by the biggest countries in the world, like US, UK, and France. And now, because of the aggression from the east, and they are looking again at nuclear weapons. So it would be interesting if they also if they also do crypto when they are like ramping up their nuclear stuff. I'm not
That's
sure
a really
if they still have
interesting,
experts.
like bombs or Bitcoin kind of decision to be made there. That's incredible.
Or it's like the biggest covert operation is, we're just mining Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think for both of these stuff you require nuclear experts. And I wonder if they still have the technical knowledge and the people to do it, because they are probably again looking at, like, I don't know, like getting these people back.
Actually, I have a question. Like, and this is for everyone. When we see these countries adopting a currency, I mean, we all immediately can understand the immense value of that, but we also know Bitcoin's not going to be necessarily an everyday transaction, currency. So what ultimately, do these countries expect to, gain from adopting so early a currency that ultimately isn't necessarily going to be like, their medium of exchange anytime soon?
The issue is around volatility, like price volatility.
What do you mean?
Like when you say that it won't be a medium of exchange, you're saying that because of the price volatility of Bitcoin?
No, I think just in terms of practicality of, everyday transactions. Like if I'm going between shops and going to the bodega or going to do the laundromat, Am I going to ultimately be, going to use Bitcoin at whatever merchant for, for these transactions?
Why not?
Like, I think the idea of getting a whole society ahead of the curve and native is really forward thinking, but also I just, I'm like thinking too, like, okay, so what ultimately are people going to be doing with any of the Bitcoin that they're given? How do they plan to initiate and acclimate their citizens with the currencies?
Right. Well, I think really what you're ultimately talking about is the technology. And we know that Bitcoin is criticized very heavily for having high transaction fees, very slow confirmation times. And so, what are they going to do about it? They're probably going to do the same thing that El Salvador did, which is build a centralized platform that users could effectively use. And so, like, I mean, that's if they go that route, right? If they push it on their citizens by making it legal tender, they don't necessarily have to even offer that. They can just say that people are able to use it, and they could adopt whatever solution they want. In which case, they're just hoping that the industry pushes forward on something. But in the short term, what does it mean for them? I think that it means revenue generation, and hopefully for their citizens as well, that by adopting it and Bitcoin appreciating in the future, they're putting their own citizens in a better place. I think that's really probably the main goal at this point. But as far as how are they going to roll it out, how are they going to actually make it usable? I don't see really any other solution coming from a government other than pretty much centralization. And while that's not the ideal, I see that as definitely being a positive step forward for the entire industry, because it's showing really that the demand is there, and that these types of applications, mainly point of sale, everyday transactions, is something that well, the technology hasn't quite gotten there. Absolutely, the need is, and absolutely people can have, they will use these they will use cryptocurrency for everyday purchases.